Hey everybody, and welcome to the very first Chromeworks Code Clinic live stream. We're going to be doing this live stream Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this week. This is a bit of a pilot project, and if you guys like it, and if I get millions of viewers, as I'm sure I will, then we're going to continue it on and off throughout the course of the summer. But for today, we're just going to test this out. We're testing the waters here to see a new kind of broadcasting format. So we're doing something today called live coding, which means I'm kind of flying without a net here. We're going to be doing code where I don't really know how things are going to work out and I don't know the details of what we're going to be doing today. I'm just going to start playing around and making stuff using this new game engine that my son Jeffrey, the code guru of Chromeworks, has put together. So I've been really interested in Rube Goldberg machines lately, and we showed one on last week's on Saturday's live stream, and kind of described how simple it is to add different effects to that. So for you guys who don't know, Rube Goldberg devices are basically contraptions, very complicated machines that do something ridiculous. They were invented way back, I believe, in the early 20th century by this cartoonist named Rube Goldberg, who just designed these crazy devices that no one would ever really build. It was stuff like maybe a pigeon would peck at a mirror, which would push a button, which would make a ball roll down that would hit an iron and set fire to something, and on and on and on, just to do something simple like making coffee, for example. It was just a fun little art exercise by this very famous and demented artist, and they've become kind of a cultural touchstone. So you'll see Rube Goldberg machines all over the place on the internet. People make these things, and they're kind of the forefathers of some of these domino falling down devices and stuff like that, where you just get these really complicated setups where one thing hits another and hits another. Now, doing this in Scratch turns out to be pretty challenging because Scratch has such a tiny screen. Normally 480 by 360 pixels is the entire area you have to work on, and to do a really complicated machine like that in that space is going to be really challenging. So what I've done with Jeffrey here is we've created this kind of infinite Goldberg machine device that's called the Infinity Machine. I'm going to be showing that to you in just a couple of seconds. And the cool thing about it is it allows you to build these devices and make them almost infinite in size. It can be one thing with something next to it and something next to that over the course of hundreds and hundreds of pixels. We could do something that's theoretically 3,000 or 4,000 pixels across. So I'm really excited to show that to you guys. Anyway, so this is the first project we're doing as part of this live stream, but we will do other stuff as well. We're going to be building games and doing other projects based on what you guys are interested in doing. This is a student-led project, so I'm just kind of getting things going with this Infinity Machine project. But when we get some more time, we'll sit down and talk to our user community here on Discord, and we'll be working with their ideas. Speaking of Discord, I'm joined today by a few of our regular Chromework kids. I've got Abe from Ohio here today. Hi, Abe.
Hello.
So, Abe, have you heard of Rube Goldberg machines?
I think this is the first time me hearing that. No.
Really? Okay. So I was going to get some material together, and I never did. You probably might have heard of the old board game called Mousetrap. Have you ever heard of that, at least, Abe?
I saw it before.
Yeah.
On
Anyway, it's
videos.
the idea is that it's kind of similar to Rube Goldberg devices. Oh, so here's a really good example of a Rube Goldberg device. There's a band called OK Go that created a gigantic Rube Goldberg device in one of their music videos. And I think this is a really good way to start it off. So I'll show that to you guys in just a second here. I'm also joined by Crazy Kirby Boy, who is, of course, Thane from Florida. Good morning, Thane.
Good morning, Mr. T.
So,
In my head.
sorry, what did you say, buddy?
I already have some ideas in my head.
Okay, good. So you've heard of Rube Goldberg devices, I take it, have you not?
I've definitely seen them before, and I've heard about them, but I didn't know who created them or anything. Like, I have no idea who Rube Goldberg is
Oh,
until
okay.
now.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll do a little more of a description for next week's live stream about Rube Goldberg devices. I've been looking for a project to get my new co-op student working on, and I think we're going to do a little news thing about Rube Goldberg devices. Well, I'm also joined here on Discord by Ben Tate, our former co-op student, now a Chromeworks volunteer. Good morning, Ben.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. So Ben's going to be helping us out with the coding as well, and if anyone needs any extra help, we'll have him pull people into a breakout room as well, and there'll be opportunities to do that. So the way this is going to work is it's going to be very, very casual. We're going to be building stuff on the fly here. Oh, I should probably mention that there's some students over on YouTube watching us as well. We've got funny animator Jim, who is also a member of our Discord community. Feel free to jump into the Discord if you'd like to, Jim, or you can just watch passively on TV. And we have a new name here as well, RJ Rudra Gaming. He says, yo, bro, you the best. Well, thank you very much, RJ. Let us know a little bit about yourself. If you want to just type something into the chat, we'll give you a little shout out on the stream if you want to. Anyone else who's lurking on the stream, watching this stuff on YouTube, please give us a little shout out here. Just type some information about yourself, how old you are, what city you come from, and we'll give you a little shout out on the stream. All right, I promised you guys some Rube Goldberg, so I'm going to show you guys this video from the band OK Go. And this will be a good introduction to what Rube Goldberg devices are all about. So let's get right to that. All right, so as I said, this is a video by the band OK Go. I'll just show you some of it. All right, so that's a... Where are we? Oh, here we are. Sorry, hit the wrong button there. Anyway, so that's a good idea of what Rube Goldberg devices are all about. It's all about needless complexity, making a device that does something really simple, like make coffee or whatever, but does it in the craziest, stupidest way possible. And so that's what we're going to be building here today. Let me show you the project that we're going to be working with here. I have a bit of this code here that's called the Infinity Machine that Jeffrey put together for me just yesterday. Still a bit of a work in progress, but I think we're doing quite nicely on it. So let's get to that right now. So this is the Infinity Device project, the Infinity Machine, and you can see we've got a little Rube Goldberg project header underneath it here. This is an actual cartoon by the original artist. And I'll show you a little bit about how this works. It's actually quite ingenious. So we've got a, let me click on it here to get it running here, and there's just an example. So all we have right now is, well, let's try clicking the green flag. So I just have a generic object right here, right now. And when I click the start button, that object will bash into another object. Let me show it to you right now. So it'll click, attach to another object, and that object will go. Each of these objects has its own artificial intelligence. So I've got a generic object here. I'm going to share this file with you, by the way, so that you guys can play with it at home as well. And I'll put it into the YouTube, and I'll put it into Ask Mr. T as well. There you guys. So please feel free to call this project up and remix it. And let me walk you through how this works. Okay, so it's not intuitive at first, but you'll see what with a little bit of training here that we should be able to have everyone build these devices and then add them to this bigger project here. So I've got a generic object here that just is called object. And you can see that there's very little code in it right now. The code that is in here is something that has to be in every object. So if you're going to create your own Rube Goldberg object, you need to code it using basically making a copy of the sprite and going in and changing the graphics around. You need all of the underlying code to do it. I'm going to explain this code in a future live stream at some point. It's fairly complex and you really don't need to understand it to work it. So to make something work in this, you just simply need to add an animation to it. So right now, the default animation I have for this object, which just has the OBJ label on it here, is I'm just telling it to change its x coordinate by 2. Notice I'm not using the blue change x by 2 block here. We can't use this one because we're not actually moving it on the screen. We're moving it on a virtual screen. So there's an x coordinate here that's going to make this thing fly across a gigantic infinite screen that will keep going and going and going. We make all of this work. So I've got this guy changing his x by 2 right now, for example. So he's moving 90 pixels to the right across the screen. If I wanted him to go to do anything different here, to change his animations around, for example, we could add all the code inside here under define animation. So for example, if I wanted to have my guy move up instead of down, I can just go change the y coordinate and tell it to move by 2. Now, there's one other step that has to be done to make this work properly. You have to define the beginning and the end point where this object is going to be moving from. The idea is we're going to have one object smash into another object, and that's what's going to start it going. So to do that, we have to define where the beginning of the object is and where the end of the object is, basically where it finishes its animation off. Now, we're sticking with a plain old box right now. My program is running. You can see the green flag is clicked. And now I'm going to click on this button called Apply Coordinates. You only have to do this once, the first time you set an object up. And because I've moved this object, I'm going to have to play around with it that way. So before I do anything with it, I click on this Apply Coordinates button. It'll only work if the project is running here. So I'll click on Apply Coordinates. Now it wants me to click on where the beginning spot, you can see that I've got a little green object under my cursor here. It wants me to click at where the spot on the screen where the beginning of my movement is going to be. So I'm going to click right on the bottom here. Then it's going to run through the animation. You can see that it's moved up 90 pixels the way that it's supposed to. And now I'm going to click on the spot that it's going to hit. This is where the OBJ is going to hit the next object. There we go. Now I'm back to my title screen again here. And now it's basically programmed. I've told it what direction to move, what animations to go through, everything else here. I've applied the coordinates, and now I can actually run the program. So, and as I said, you only have to do that once. So now let's click the green flag here. And now when I click the start button, that OBJ thing will move up and then click onto the next one. We can keep adding more of those objects. So let's go over to the start, to the controller object here, and you can see that I'm creating clones here. Define, create clones. I've created 2 clones of my object. If I wanted a third object here, I could just clone it here. So I'm going to create a third version of this. And now when I run the project, the one OBJ is going to hit another one, which hits another one. Let's try that out right now. So I'll click the start button. The first one will hit the second one, which will start moving, which will hit the third one, which will start moving. There we go. Now let's have one of them move to the right instead of moving up here. So I'm going to create a duplicate of my object. Let's go do that right now. I'm just going to right click on it and select duplicate. So this one's called object 2 now, and we'll have this one go on a bit of a diagonal. We'll have it go, make its X change by 10. And then we'll make its Y change by 10. We're going to make it go on a bit of a zigzag. And then let's put that inside of a bigger loop and have it go like 4 or 5 times or something. So let's go repeat 4 times. All right, so now we have to define that animation again. We have to set the beginning and the end point for that animation. Let's change the look of it too so that we can see that it's an object too. I'm just going to type into here and change the name to obj2. Now in a little bit, we're going to be putting crazy stuff into these graphics. We're just using placeholder graphics right now, just so I can teach you how this works, right? So let's go ahead and apply the coordinates now for object 2. So I'm going to make sure my program's running. I've clicked the green flag. I'm going to click on apply coordinates. Let's max my screen out. I'll set the beginning spot right at the bottom here. And it's not moving. Hold it. Let's try that again. Click the green flag. Okay, so now that the program's running, I'll click on apply coordinates. I'll max the screen out. I'll click the bottom of it. And there it goes. It's doing its little zigzaggy thing. Then we see where it ends. And this is the spot where I want it to attack the other guy, to basically hit the other object over on the right-hand side here. So I'll click here. And that's what's going to activate the other one. Okay, so we'll go back to our controller now. And we'll have an object create cloned. And then we'll do an object 2. And then we'll do an object. And then we'll do an object 2 again. Okay, let's see how this works now. Let's max the screen out. All right, we'll click the start. The object hits the object 2, which does its thing, which hits the object, which does its thing, and then object 2 does its thing. And you can see we can just keep going on and on and on forever here, right? So that's the basic way that it works. Any questions, Abe or Thane or Ben or anyone on YouTube? Funny Animator Jib said this is awesome. So what's up, Abe?
What's the prop sprite for?
So the prop sprite is, and I was planning to show that to you guys later, but the idea is sometimes you want to have parts of your object that don't move around. For example, if I've got a mouse that's escaping from a cage and then moving on and hitting a button or something, we want the mouse to move, but we want the cage to stand still. So if there's parts of your machine that aren't going to be animated, we want to basically fix them onto the screen. And what we do is we just place them relative to another object. So if I was doing a mouse, for example, what I would do is animate the mouse, but then attach a cage to it. And I would create a new sprite for the cage, and I would tell them the cage to go on exactly the spot where the mouse is, so that it's on the middle, or maybe offset by 20 pixels on the X or the Y coordinate, so that it's placed properly, and then it'll sit still while the mouse moves around it. And so that's how that works. I'll show that to you in a little bit, but I was going to do this kind of step by step with you guys today. So what I thought we would start by doing is maybe get a graphic going here where we actually can put a picture into the thing. So let's start off with a mouse, because I actually do have a mouse object attached to my OBJ here right now. So if I go to my costumes for my object, I can go with a mouse here. And there's my mouse. So I'm just going to switch to the graphic to that. That's my new object. And you can see when I click my code to make this happen, now it's going to be a mouse that's moving around on the screen instead of my first object. He's going to move up and then move up and then move up. Now he's pointing in the wrong direction, right? We can use a bit of code to fix that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this custom block of code here called initialize. Right now this thing is pointing in direction 90, but let's tell it to point upwards. Now we're still not using this add prop thing. We will add a cage in a little bit, I think, and we'll just design that in a bit. But first I want to just show you the mouse movement. So now we've got an animation here that's basically just him moving up in the Y coordinate direction here. But what we can do is let's animate him while he's doing that. So let's tell him to go next costume while he's moving up, so that he wiggles his little tail around. Now that's not going to work with this particular graphic, so let's get rid of the OBJ, the generic graphic, and I'm just going to go grab a second mouse costume here. So I believe the one we have already is the wiggly-tailed one, so we'll add the straight-tailed one. Yeah, there we go. Now we've got a nice costume going back and forth. It's not centered properly though, so we're gonna have to fix that. So here's my original object, and let's place them right in the center of the screen. And my second one, yeah, they look like they're both properly centered now, or close enough. All right, so now that I've got a next costume and a change Y in my code here, and my mouse is pointing up, let's have him move and see what that looks like. He hits the other object, which, beautiful. All right, we can also add a little mouse sound effect here as well, right? So let's do that right now. Right before we get into this animation, we'll go grab a mouse sound effect to go in there. So I'm gonna go over to freesound.org, which is my favorite site for downloading sound files, and let's go find a mouse sound. Mouse squeak, maybe?
There's a mouse sound in Scratch.
There is a mouse sound in Scratch already? I don't remember there being one. Let's have a look under our sounds here. Is it just called mouse?
Squeaks in animals.
Squeaks. I think that's new. That's actually like a chinchilla or something, eh? Is it... Oh, that's cool. That'll work. It's not quite a mouse, but it'll work fine for now. I don't want to spend a lot of time looking for noises right now. So let's tell it to start that sound. Right there. All right, and we'll click the program again and get it running. Beautiful. Nice, nice, nice. So that's actually working pretty nicely here. So are you guys starting to see the potential of this? Anyone want to think of what kind of things we could put into this? Like, does it, Thane, you said you had some crazy ideas for stuff you'd like to program into this machine?
To do like a thing where at the end, like, it turns on a water faucet, where like basically like a wooden block is attached to a rope that's attached to the handle to turn on the sink, and then basically when a ball drops down and rolls down, it hits the block, which pulls the handle, which turns the water on.
Oh, that's a cool idea. Yeah, yeah. So we can have the whole thing end up with water pouring into a sink or something. That's really cool. Yeah, that's a fantastic idea. So Jim is asking, Jim says it's awesome, by the way. Oh, sorry, Abe, can you just, I think I've got to make this a push to talk channel so that you guys aren't, all right, so that we don't hear these crazy sounds happening all the time. So Jim is asking, how does the thing know where to position the cloned objects when you create a clone of them? So Jim, I'm not sure if you missed the part where I set up the coordinates here. If you look inside the actual file, it says marker input sprite here, that basically sets up the beginning and the end point for the code. So the idea is you design your animation, then run it through a test, and then mark the beginning spot where the object's starting from, and then the end spot that it hits to make the second object work. And I'm going to go through that again with a different sprite here. So let's have the mouse maybe hit a different object here. So I'm going to grab my object 2 sprite here, and let's change the graphic around for that guy, and I'll walk you guys through the process one more time here. So let's have the mouse hit maybe a car or something. So let's go, we'll do a little convertible car or something here. There we go. And why is it not changed on my screen here? It's not visible, eh? Let's make it visible. There we go. All right, so there's my object 2, and we're going to rename it to car now. And let's program some movement for the car here. So we're going to define an animation for it. Instead of doing this, let's have our car move and then pause and then move again, or something along those lines. We just wanted to do something a little different from the other one. So let's go repeat 10. we'll have it move 2 steps. And then we'll have it stop for half a second. And then we'll have it move again. So not in the original coordinates, but the cloned ones is the is what Jim is saying here, and I'm not quite sure I understand the question. So there's quite a bit going on here under the scenes here, Jim, in the behind this marker input, and it's all in this code off here on the side. And as I said, I'm going to explain this in a little bit more detail in a future live stream. I'll actually do a canned. This is a little too complicated to describe on the fly here, but we're basically creating a gigantic screen here where objects are basically creating clones of themselves and moving according to a set of instructions here, and always starting at a relative position that we determine by using these marker input and marker output commands here. I'm going to do that again with this guy. So basically, again, we're going to need to apply coordinates before we start using this object right now. So I'm going to click on the green flag. And before I actually run the program, I'm going to click on apply coordinates. Now the software knows to make everything else invisible so that we're only working on this car right now. And so when I click on the left side of the car here, that's going to be the part of the car that gets hit by the clone that was programmed to go just before it. So I'm going to click on the left side of the car here because I expect it to be hit from the left. Then it's going to do its little movement cycle here. And it looks like I did not execute the movement cycle properly here. Repeat. Oh, we're telling it to move 10 steps here, and that's not going to work. Move 2 steps. That is not going to work here because we're actually working with relative coordinates. And I warned you guys about that before, and I didn't follow my own advice here. So what we're going to have to do is change the x location using this x variable here. So let's go change x here, and then we'll change x again. All right, so now it's going to move a little bit across the screen. Let's have it move 20 maybe, just so that it does a little bit more significant movement here. All right, and let's try that again. We'll click the green flag. We'll click on apply coordinates. And then we'll click on the beginning of the car, and then we'll let the car do its own thing. It moves and it stops, and then it hits something else right there. So that's the spot where it's going to hit. We'll click that. And now we just have to add our car to our movement cycle here. So let's start with the car this time and have it smash into a mouse, which will hit another mouse, which will hit a car. And we'll try that out now and see if it works properly. Green flag. All right, let's click the start button here. So the car hits the mouse, which hits another mouse, which hits the car. Beautiful. And then the car moves and pauses and moves and pauses. You can see we've got a virtual camera here that's basically tracking the movements of every object using a little bit of code. I think it's really cool. Hello to Eon. Hi, Eon. Nice to see you on the stream here. If you're interested in having a little shout out on the stream, please let us know a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and how old you are. All right, guys. So I am interested in coding something cool here and having you guys help me with it. So, oh, by the way, we're going to be working on adding some backgrounds and stuff to this. Jeffrey hasn't coded the rest of this project yet, but we're going to have a scrolling background so that we don't have to always go with this white background that we have going here right now. Jaron Jackpot is asking, can I showcase a game? Well, we have some time at the end. I would be happy to show your projects, but I'd rather vet them in advance. So if you have stuff you want to show me on the stream, send it to me on Discord, and I'll have a look at it before I actually show it to anyone else. It's just good policy to keep tabs on what's actually showing on my stream whenever I can. All right, guys, so who wants to help me figure out something cool that we can do on the fly here? We're going to do a little bit of live coding, and we're going to put together a cool project here. So go ahead, whoever just spoke. Thane?
I have something.
Okay, so what are we going to do here?
So what I is you start with the car, and then the car flies, the car zooms and hits a ball, which goes down a little path, and then at the end it drops down. It falls down, hits a wooden block that's connected to a string and the string is connected to the handle of a.
Okay,
Then,
so that's good. So Thane, we don't need to do all 12 steps of your big plan here right now, right? So let's just concentrate on one thing at a time here, so that we don't get too complicated.
Start moving a marble then.
Okay, so the car moves just horizontally across the screen. Is that all we're gonna do here with the car?
But I think it'd be more realistic if we did it with like a platform.
A platform. So if we put the car on top of a platform, right? Okay. So we can do that. I'm gonna have to show you guys props first in order to do that, right? So let's go ahead and we'll go to the prop sprite here. I'm gonna show you guys how to have something set up on your screen here that's permanent, that sits in one place on our screen here. So I'm in my prop sprite here. You can see there's not too much code here, and there's really nothing that has to be done inside here other than design or sprite. So let's go ahead and start with a platform here. I'm just gonna swap out this sprite with a simple little graphic. We'll just do a gray platform here. So let's pick just a generic color. Let's turn the saturation down. We'll get just some gray going here. And I'm just going to draw a little gray platform from our card to go on. I think it probably should be set up with the center at the left-hand side here so that it grows out of that spot here. I haven't quite experimented with this fully yet, so let's see how that works anyway. All right, so I've got my prop here. I want to actually see it on the screen, so I'm going to click on the button to make it visible. And we're going to have to try and set this up so that it appears relative to my car. Let's go back to our code for the car here. You can see that I've got a little bit of code set up here for props. It goes define add prop. So I'm going to attach this code down here below. We're just setting a variable here called prop x and prop y, and we can offset that if it's not quite fitting properly. So and at the end we have to create clone of prop. I'm going to rename the prop here. I'm going to call it platform or car platform maybe. All right, there we go. So there's my prop. So I've got it being created from inside the car. So it's always going to be placed relative to the car here, right? And right now it's being placed on the exact same virtual XY coordinates of the car. We're probably going to have to offset it a little bit, but let's give it a little try here and see what that looks like right now. So I'm going to click the green flag. And you can see that it's up a little bit above the car here. So we need to move it down and to the left a little bit to make it work properly. So let's go set prop Y to Y minus something here. So let's go, whoops, there's a minus. Y minus 20. Let's see what 20 looks like here. And my X should be off a little bit to the side as well. So let's go X minus 20 as well and see what that looks like. It's going to take a little playing around to get this set up properly. We'll click the green flag here. Hey, and that's looking pretty good. I actually eyeballed that pretty well. So there we go. We've got our prop set up here now. And now let's hit the start button and let the car roll along it and see if it actually, it probably should be a little longer, eh? Okay, let's just see what it looks like right now. We'll click the start button and it's driving along there beautifully. Okay, so we're just gonna want it to run a little further now. So let's go back to the car code here. And we've got our animation defined here. So let's change the animation so that he drives a little further. Let's go 50 and 50 here. Now, because we've changed the movement of the object around, we're going to have to apply new coordinates. So let's click the green flag, click apply coordinates, and let's click on the beginning spot for our object. Then we'll click on the end spot for our object. There we go. And now when we run the project, So Jim's asking if we can add gravity physics to this. We could anything. It's probably possible. I think mostly we're going to be simulating gravity here by having things fall just by changing their x, y coordinates. But we can use some math to make them accelerate or decelerate, and that's something we could probably try. And you could probably change the size of the object in order to make it look like they're up in the air. Well, that's not a bad idea as well. Jim, I'm really interested in seeing what a sophisticated coder like you can do with this engine as well. So if you want to try making something, what I would suggest is just code a sprite to do something really interesting like this. And what you can do is share the sprite file with me, basically on Discord or by email or whatever like that. Just export the SP3 file. I can import it into here, and it'll basically automatically add components to this project. Let's click the start button here and see what this looks like. There we go. Beautiful, and it's just moving along the thing. Now we're going to want it to hit something else, right? I need to go a little bit further here, so let's have it repeat 60 times. I want to add a sound effect to this file as well. So I'm just going to, let's just do my quick and dirty sound effects the way I love to do here in Scratch. I'm just going to go to my sound file here, and I'm going to record myself doing a vroom vroom sound. So here we go. There we go. And maybe we'll make it a little faster and more cartoonish. There we go. All right, so that'll work fine. So I'm going to call that car noise. Now again, if you were spending more time on this, I would probably go and download a fun car accelerating sound off the internet. But for now, for the purposes of what we're doing right now, I think this will work quite nicely. So let's tell it to play the sound when it starts. Start sound car noise. Then at the end of the wait here, before we start moving again, we'll play the sound one more time here. So this define animation is basically what happens when the thing gets triggered. If you want it to keep doing something after it gets triggered, you can define an after animation here. So for example, after my car hits, if I want it to bounce backwards, I could tell it here to repeat 10 times and move backwards. So we're going to change its x coordinate again here. So let's go change x by -10. Beautiful. Okay, so now it's going to move backwards. Maybe we'll do that 20. Now I don't have to apply the coordinates for this because it doesn't affect its impact with other things. So as soon as it's done, let's actually have it wait half a second. And then start moving backwards, basically. So let's do a couple of these cars here. Let's have a mouse hitting a car that hits a mouse, just so we can test this out here. So create a car that hits a mouse, which is just called object right now. I should rename that. And then we'll have it attack another car, basically hit another car here. So there we go. Okay, so let's try this again and just see if our car is moving properly now. So our car, oh! So our first clone of the, and then it goes backwards. So our first clone of the car didn't have the platform on it, and I'm not really sure what's going on with that. I want to see if I change the order around and have it create the mouse first and then the car. See if that runs now. So let's try it one more time.
I think I'm gonna go.
Okay. Well, nice seeing you again, Thane. See what you can make with this project, buddy.
All right, bye.
Bye. So why? So the question then is why that first the platform only worked with the car the first time and not the second time. I might have to have a look at this code a little later and see what's going on with this, because I don't have an immediate answer to that. Car noise. So the prop Happens as soon as we initialize it. Huh. All right, I'm going to have Jeffrey look at this later. I don't have an immediate answer to why the prop didn't show up with the first guy. Okay, so Eon says he just joined the Discord server, which is cool. I'll have to have a look later and see. Did you get parental permission, Eon? Are you to give you proper permission to join the server and surf around here? We're going to need you to sign get your parents to do a little parental permission form, but let's see how that works. Okay, so we are continuing to build this car thing. So I showed you guys how to use a prop now, which works pretty well. Though I'm a little confused about why the car doesn't work the first time. Maybe let's add another car and see if the car works the second time along here. So let's go back to our controller object, and we're going to create a third car here. I just want to see if we can, if the thing is reliably making them. If it's maybe it's only the first time that it's having these troubles. And it only. So the prop only consistently appears on one of the guys, and why is it the third guy or the last guy who has the prop appear for him? That is a bit perplexing, and we're going to have to look into that. As I said, this is kind of alpha version code. We're just getting started with this today, and so I'm not quite clear on what's going wrong with it. All right, so did the platform ghost into the screen when it appears? So that's one of the features here is when the screen, when an object falls off the screen, it basically disappears. Let me do a bunch of more cars here, just so you can see it in action again. You can see that when stuff goes off the screen, yeah, it just ghosts when it appears, when it hits the edge. And for some reason, the prop only appears on the last incarnation of the object. And this is the part that I'm a little bit confused about. So we're going to do some tweaking of the code overnight and hopefully get it to the point where the props are appearing for every single object right now. But I think that's good for now anyway. So are there any other questions you guys have about how this works? What I'm really interested in is having some of you guys develop some of these overnight that we can look at during tomorrow's stream and just see what kind of different directions we can take this in right now. I'm just trying to basically go through a simple demonstration of how this code works so that we can go ahead and try and play with it some more on your own, and then I can show your own version of the project tomorrow is the idea. So all right, I've got my car. I'm going to rename my object here to mouse maybe. So the props still need a little bit of work, as we can see here, but the car and the mouse, the basic movement we're doing with this thing works pretty well. Let's see what we can do about, so we've got the mouse hitting the car, which, let's see if we can have our mouse start inside a cage or something as well. I'm gonna just see if we can find a little cage here inside the sprites here. I don't know if there's a bird cage. No, there's not. So we could draw something quick, or we could just go grab an object off of Google Images. I think I'm just going to find a quick example of a bird cage here. And let's try and set that up to work right now. So let's go bird cage inside Google Images. I'm going to click on Tools here. And I'm going to click on images. And I'm going to, under tools here, I'm going to filter just to look for transparent images so that we can hopefully find a bird cage that's very simple. All right, or let's do mouse cage. And we'll find transparent ones. And we've got to find one that kind of looks like the right angle here. So I think we could probably go maybe a cartoon mouse cage, eh? There we go. So something like this I think will work well. We're going to remove the bottom from it. Yeah, this will work nicely. So let's just go copy or save this image as. And we'll import it into Scratch that way. So, oh, it's not transparent. Well, we can work with that. So let's just grab that. We'll bring it into Scratch. And we'll use it as a prop here. So I'm going to take my car platform here and I'm going to duplicate it so that I have all the code for props here. And I'm going to rename it cage. And let's go grab a costume here. And I'll grab my cage. All right, so because this cage isn't transparent, I'm just going to have it at the back here so that the mouse is floating on top of it, essentially. All right, so there's my cage. Let's make it visible. Oh, I'm going to need to resize that, so we'll make it maybe 50% or something. No, maybe smaller than that, maybe 20. All right, there we go. And we're going to place it on top of the mouse here by going to my code for the mouse and telling it to add a prop. And the prop here is going to be cage. All right, let's try this out again. Now I've got an offset here for this mouse, which is not right. Create a clone of the cage. Let's have it start on the exact same X position as our guy. Is the cage centered on the screen here right now? Probably not. So let's center it and see what that looks like now. So we'll click the green flag. Click the start button. All right, so our location is way off for that, eh? I'm a little bit confused by that. So I think I'm gonna have to just change the Y coordinate for this object to make it go down lower, eh? I think this prop engine is still a little bit off, and we're gonna have a look at it overnight. So in the meantime, though, let's go back to the mouse here, and we'll tell it to change its Y coordinate by a little bit here. So let's go with subtract. We'll go Y minus, it looks like quite a bit here, like 100 pixels or something. So let's see what that looks like. Whoa. Okay, I'm a little confused by why this isn't moving around now. Hold it. Create a clone of cage. It's the mouse that's creating it. Maybe I have to reinitialize the, or reapply the coordinates from my mouse here. Let me try doing new coordinates for my mouse here and see if that affects anything. And we'll do an N coordinate here. And all right, let's click it one more time. And the cage is still way up on the screen here, even though I told it to go down. All right, change Y by, hold it, y minus 100 didn't do anything, eh? Let's try y minus 200. And that doesn't appear to have affected the location of the clone at all. Okay, so this engine still needs a little bit of work, obviously. I'm going to look at that overnight. It looks like we're kind of running out of time here anyway today, and I think I probably lost a good chunk of my audience already at this point now. So I'm going to have another look at the at this engine overnight and try and get some props going, and I am going to do some basically a couple more samples of this to work off of tomorrow. What I would like to do is show some of your work as well. So if anyone else wants to create a Rube Goldberg device for us today, we can carry on and start developing it tomorrow. So if you have a Rube Goldberg project you'd like to share with me, what I would suggest you do is basically just export the Sprite file. So what you're going to do is design your device. If you have any props that go with it, well, let's not worry about props for now because we're still figuring that out. So let's say I had this car here and I wanted to export it out to share it with you guys. I would just right click on it and go export. And that would send out the SB3 file here, the actual Sprite file, or Sprite 3 file. Save that, and I can import it back into my device again and basically get that object with all the code that's attached to it working with my object here. So I'd love to see what you guys can come up with. If you're on Discord, just drop the file to me on Discord. If not, you can just email me. And again, my email is, let me find that for you here. Where's my email? There it is. info@chromeworks.ca. So just attach a Sprite 3 file and send it to me, and I will show it on tomorrow's stream. And we'll talk a little bit more about how to code some more elaborate objects in this. And I'll hopefully have a version 2.0 of this Rube Goldberg engine set up there for now. Anyone else on Discord? Abe's still here. Anyone else have any other questions or any other comments before we break up for the day here?
I'm good.
All right. So what did you guys think about that? Was this a fun little exercise? Would you like to keep doing this? I'm not sure whether I want to keep doing this all summer long or not, but I really want to try doing some more kind of live coding experiments where we're just kind of working without a net here and playing with stuff. It didn't quite work out perfectly today because I think our software is a little bit rough, but I'm eager to see what you guys think about this and what you can do with this project. So
I like it.
yeah, you like it, Abe? Are you going to try and make something for me overnight, buddy?
Yeah.
Okay, do you feel like you understand how it works now? Okay, so anyway, so the rest of you guys,
Yeah.
try and make something for me using this engine overnight. You can, if you don't feel comfortable sending out a Sprite file, just even share the project with me and remix this project. I'm going to have a look at the remix tree for this project, and if anyone creates anything that way, I can also import it. So I just want to show a bunch of work that you guys have made overnight on tomorrow's stream, and we'll see whether anyone can take this in slightly different directions than I have. In the meantime, it looks like we've kind of petered out our viewership here, so I think it's probably time to call it quits. Anyone on Discord who wants to discuss a little bit with me about content creation, we're going to be doing a little content creation camp on Discord afterwards, where I'm going to get you guys starting on the process of making little videos for me. So anyone wants to join me on Discord afterwards is welcome. In the meantime, I'll see the rest of you guys next, or tomorrow, actually, not